Hiya, I'm Bruce Fummey. Remember the 5th of November. Everyone in Scotland knows the significance of that date. Or do they? Today I'm going to set you a challenge and there might be fireworks. Are you ready? If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then hit the subscribe button at the bottom right hand side of the screen at any time during this video. Once you've subscribed, click the notification bell to make sure that they tell you when I bring out new videos. In the meantime, let me set you a challenge and tell you a story. I'm going to explain why the 5th of November was a successful plot and you've been conned by the biggest propaganda cover-up in British history. I'm going to set a countdown timer at the bottom of the screen, and when it gets to 0, kaboom. Your challenge is to correctly identify the propaganda message that we as a nation have been unquestioningly accepting for hundreds of years. You just need to say the name of the coup leader before the countdown hits 0, or everyone on this island. No pressure then, eh? I'm going to give you 5 minutes, starting now. Now, first of all, for the foreigners, the tradition that's been built up on this island around the 5th of November. So, in 1603, Queen Elizabeth of England died. In the previous 70 years, her dad, Henry VIII, had turned England against the Church of Rome. And his son, Edward VI, had continued this. But when he died, he was replaced by his sister Mary, who was a Catholic and swung back to Roman Orthodoxy. When she died, her sister Elizabeth moved back to Protestantism. Now, each time there was a change, one side became the persecuted and the other side the persecutors. I myself have no religion. I don't care whose side you're on. One side got high literacy rates, the other side got Mardi Gras. I'm not picking sides. Who doesn't like reading about pancakes? Here in Scotland, we've taken a different but parallel and undoubtedly intertwined route. I've got some videos about it. Look for John Knox in the channel videos. The bottom line is that when Elizabeth of England died, there was a Protestant monarch called James VI here in Scotland, ready and willing to rush off south like excrement off a shovel, muttering vague promises of return over his shoulder. Oh aye, we must keep in touch. Get your people to call my people. Driver! So commenced the reign of the Stuart Kings of Scots over England. Now, English Catholics had seen Queen Elizabeth behead James's mother, Mary, Queen of Scots, so they had high hopes that he might improve their lot. But political expediency turned out to trump sentimentality with James. This left Catholics disappointed, dissenting, and seditious. It led to a plot to blow up the House of Lords, with James I in it when Parliament opened on the 5th of November 1605. Now, if anyone's confused with why 1 minute I'm calling him James VI, then the next minute James I, this was the first time that the English had a James as king. We'd been doing it for years. Now, a bloke called Guy Fawkes was found underneath the Parliament buildings guarding a stack of gunpowder. He was brutally tortured and the conspirators were caught and executed. And ever since, on the 5th of November each year in England and therefore Scotland and Wales, people set fire to things and lit off fireworks. It's a celebration of the King's delivery, and indeed national delivery from Catholic terrorists who had planned a coup to overthrow the rightful monarch. Now today it's tradition, but there have been times in the past where it's actually a legal requirement. Now, all these fireworks displays are, of course, distractions which cover up the successful coup. By the way, you've got 2 minutes and 2 seconds left. Okay, let me tell you what I'm not disputing. I'm not disputing that the coup did take place on the 5th of November. I'm not disputing that it was religion that motivated it. I even agree that the intention was to overthrow James, the Stuart King of Scots, who was also King of England. Have you got me that name yet? I'll leave a video to watch at the end that'll explain the detail of the gaps that I've left. But by then, it might be too late. You see, I think you've got the year wrong. And the coup was successful. But you never even think about that, because they've got you spending all your time celebrating Guy Fawkes with Catherine wheels, Roman candles, rockets. By my watch, the timer should be around 1 minute and 11 seconds. James Stewart was the subject of a conspiracy to overthrow him, but you got the year confused. Maybe it's because the English keep changing the numbers. What are they like? Okay, here's a clue. Explosives weren't set underneath the House of Lords, the fuse was lit in the House of Lords. And the timer's ticking. Secondly, the coup wasn't against James I, as they call him. Lastly, the coup wasn't to overthrow a Protestant monarch who had been favouring Protestants. It was to overthrow a Catholic monarch who had been promoting Catholicism. How much time left? Is it the blue wire or the red wire? So, the date was the 5th of November. You remembered that. What you've forgotten is that the year wasn't 1605. It was 83 years later in 1688. The fuse was lit in the House of Lords, but the detonation was in Brixham in Devon. I need a name. Too late! On the 5th of November 1688, 83 years after James VI, or first, survived the gunpowder plot, his grandson was on the throne. He was also called James Stewart, but this time James VII, or second, depending on which side of the border you're from. Now, unlike his granddad James VI, James VII was Catholic. He'd just had a son who he'd baptised as a Catholic. This prompted 7 members of the House of Lords to write to a Protestant Dutchman, William of Orange, to ask him to come and invade. William of Orange was married to James's daughter, Mary, and was also the great-grandson of the James VI that Guy Fawkes had tried to blow up back in 1605. On the 5th of November 1688, William of Orange disembarked a ship called Brill in Brixham in Devon. He was accompanied by 35,000 men, including 4,000 cavalry. They'd come in over 300 boats, a bigger fleet than the Spanish Armada. He'd come to overthrow the rightful king of England, Scotland and Ireland. He'd come to carry out a religiously motivated coup to depose the Catholic James VII of Scotland and the second of England and Ireland. The point is, he wanted to maintain a Protestant English democracy. And every year, huge amounts of time, money and effort goes into a celebration on the 5th of November that's ingrained so deeply in our culture that as soon as British people read the title to this video, they were sure they knew what it was about. There's even a poem and a song to tell us to remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. It's so ingrained in us to remember a plot that failed against the Stuart King James VI on the 5th of November 1605. I bet not one person even considered that this video might be about the plot to oust his grandson, which succeeded on the same day 83 years later. That is successful regime change. Now, I'm not a monarchist, and in 2020 we might ask if this all really matters. I think it does. Not because the British monarchs are Catholic, Protestant, Methodist, Baptist or ecumenical. Personally, I really couldn't give a parson's nose. The reason that it matters is that if a Stuart monarch was overthrown on the 5th of November, yet each year we unquestioningly celebrate the fact that a Stuart monarch wasn't overthrown on the 5th of November, what else are we missing? 1984 came and went and we kept watching the fireworks and accepting orthodoxy. So what are we being distracted from today? It matters not because of the specifics, but because history can be so twisted into tradition that we'll proclaim black as white and never question the lie. So before you light fireworks, you should always check the box. After all, maybe I just made this all up. Tell me in the comment section below if you got the answer in time to deactivate the device, and if so, when. Also, here's that video that I promised called Jacobite Rebellion, or was it? How many doctors going to be alive? Cheerio and Rasta.